we're going to talk about the conference. Took my family on a family vacation to the conference, which I guess we talked about it a little bit. Like Tasha, she fell in the spirit.
Well, me and you did, but
I guess the rest of you guys hadn't heard that, huh?
no.
Yeah, so Tasha, they have the one reason we ended up taking the whole family.
Before you go too far into it, maybe you got to explain what the conference is.
Oh yeah, so Greater Things, Randy Clark, Greater Things Conference. Backstory. I didn't know until recently. I've heard him a few times and listened to him on YouTube quite a bit, and been on a few of his live events. And I didn't know until recently that Randy Clark was the guy in Toronto.
Yeah, we talked about that. I think we actually talked about that last week, but that was not online. So
yeah, it wasn't online. Yeah. So yeah, if the big revival in Toronto, but he does mainly his gifting. Spiritual gifting, I should say, is impartation or activation of gifts, basically. Very good at it. And I wanted to go motorcycle riding. That was kind of the last week. But since I came back while I was in Alaska, I remembered there was a conference in Oklahoma City from Randy Clark, and I didn't know when it was. I figured it was the end of the year, and I checked it, and it was that weekend. So I ended up taking my whole family because they had a youth ministry, and they did a bunch. They took them to this little thing that I was showing you from that river where we went river rafting in Oklahoma City. They took the youth there.
Really?
Yeah, it was not cheap, but they took the youth there.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, because tickets were $150 per person for me and Marcy, and then the kids, I think, were $100 a piece, and we got which the Omni Hotel is like right beside the event center, so we just walked there every morning.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Yeah, it's right there. And that event center, it is nice, man. Oklahoma City, I didn't know Oklahoma City looked that good. There's a park right across the road. Beautiful.
Because when you travel through Oklahoma City, what do you normally see?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing good, anyway.
Nothing as nice as Texas.
That's right. But anyway, so Randy Clark, he wasn't there for most of it. He was there for the first session, and then he left. I like him because he does stories. He tells stories, basically, testimonies. I guess really, they work for me. They inspire, whatever you want to call it. Also, and then I don't know if I said already, but Natasha fell in the spirit. They had Randy Clark after he did us the first session on Wednesday, and then I think Thursday morning, or was it even Wednesday evening? I think it was Thursday morning. He did the youth, and at the end of it, he calls up everybody that has something like a tingling feeling, something that's completely out of the ordinary. You either you're overwhelmingly crying or laughing or tingling, something with the spirits on you. Come to the front and they pray for you. And not always, but a lot of people fall. And Natasha fell for the first time. Her eyes were completely red when we got back. She was so happy. Not just that, Natasha ended up going to more than even we did. Me and Marcy.
Really?
Yeah. She's going. She's adamant about going next year to Brazil. She's going to be 14, and it's the earliest she can go. Brazil, they got some big things going. They talk about it a lot, about what they do in Brazil. But Randy Clark even said Brazil has been his where he's seen the most happen spiritually is in Brazil. Yeah. But it was pretty great. Joanne Moody, you ever heard of her?
I've heard the name, but no, I don't know who she is.
She was, and I haven't watched her story, but she spent, I think, 14 or 15 years in so much pain. Like while she was started going back to school. While she was in school, she would lay on the floor out of pain.
Okay.
Trying to learn, and got miraculously healed. And she said, everything's a lie. To her, like I thought that wasn't possible anymore. And I think she's the one that does some of the like strippers rescuing, things like that. sex.
Oh, okay.
Sex slaves.
Yeah.
Because it's most. I think most are not, but there are some that they use sex slaves for strip clubs, and they have. And I think I don't know if it's true. This is just me assuming that the lady she had with her, she talked very gangster. Like she didn't have manners. She's in this conference. It's kind of a rude way to say it, but it's the simplest way to explain how she seemed off. And I think she's one of them. She'll dress up as a stripper to go in there and talk to these girls. Yeah. Yeah, there's some crazy stories. She started with one, and it's turned into, I don't know, she said, I don't know, was it 10 or 20 teams that are going all over the world, rescuing women. Yeah. It's just amazing. Like some of the stuff that happens there. I mean,
we don't see that.
Right. And the thing is, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody, or anybody I know, or if the pastors, we have good pastors here in Chile, I'm not saying that, but of any of the pastors, I don't think anybody pushes the boundaries the way Randy. Because even if you look at Andrew Womack, I mean, we've learned a lot from him. And I got great appreciation for him. But none of them have and it's just not their calling either. I'm not saying that, but
I think that's something like when you say that they don't do it. I don't think that's the case. I think we've been closed-minded to it. There's probably a lot more of those teams out there than we realize, and just now starting to see that a little bit.
Yeah,
because look at like a lot of these huge cities like New York. Like what's the population of New York? Like versus what we are.
Right. You really don't know what.
So we don't know what all ministries are out there.
That's very true.
So there's a lot of those. Even Dallas, the Metroplex. There's got to be stuff there we don't even know is there.
Yeah. Well, you got Todd White. He does.
Yeah, and they go out there. They get out there and do some pretty crazy stuff. But
so they did that too with the youth. They go and minister on the streets.
Oh, wow, that
with Randy Clark.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tasha was involved in that. The boys. Giovanni went for a few. Joshua went a few, but they. I don't know. Tasha is like she found it and she's adamant once more. Just can't get enough of it. The boys are a little bit more laid back, and we'll see where it goes. Right, but I'm not going to try to push them and then through that in some way alter where they're supposed to be. I think they can figure it out on their own. They're old enough for that. But what else was I going to say? I don't know.
That's it. Summed it up real quick. The end. Go home.
It was good. it was fun.
Yeah.
The best part was just 5 days of not doing anything. Right after I got back from Alaska.
How long were you here before you left? 3 days?
Less than a week.
Oh, man.
Wasn't it less than a week? No, it wasn't. It was a week and a half.
Was it really?
Yeah, I think so. I came back on Tuesday. I came back on Wednesday, and then a week. So next Wednesday I left.
So a week.
Yeah, a week.
Yeah,
that was worth it though. We wanted to do a family vacation, and we were going to go to Taos. And, another thing what I liked about it, so they have this man-made rafting course there, like White River rafting course, and you could if you have a good guide or one of the better guys that captains, I guess, of the little boat, he can kind of take you to some crazy stuff. So he did with us. He told us what he was going to do, and then there was one point where it comes down. He had us go backwards over this and then row forward, so it dunks in and the water comes over the boat. Yeah, it's. Well, I mean, the thing is, if it would have happened in a river, I'd probably freak out a little bit.
Yeah,
but this is a closed course.
How deep was it?
It's not deep.
Oh, okay.
He said, if you fall, that's another thing that they drill into your head. If you fall, nose up, toes up, and then you just float down until you get to a side, and then somebody will come get you. It's just a cement. It's not very deep. You can easily but the thing is that the stream is so strong.
Yeah. That
you scrape your whatever, your knees, your feet, you scrape it along the bottom.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. And you've got life vest on, and a helmet.
The rest of you will take it.
Yeah. So I like that because we want to go river rafting eventually in Taos. And I think with this, we have enough experience where if it does get a little hairy, we won't freak out too much.
I don't do water. I was born in the desert. I would be a sand rat.
I liked it, and I did some water surfing or whatever that's called, in the little wave thing. You've seen the little video.
Yeah, we saw the video. Yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. What else want to talk about?
I don't know. Four-wheelers, dirt bikes, things like that in the sand. I'd be on board.
I like it.
Water,
I like all of it.
yeah.
It's on my bucket list to go to learn how to surf. If it's twice as hard as this one was, then I'll make it on the first try. Second at the latest.
So, I know that that's something that's very interesting that I've been seeing a lot is people say that they go out of the United States and then it's like the spirit in a way is more free to move out there, you know, than it is here. But the thing about South America is it's got one of the darkest histories in the world.
Well, we say that, but South America stuff. How would we really say it's any darker than Africa?
Right, but here's the thing: it's just Brazil. There's a lot more Paraguay, like all these cities.
Well, there's tons of South America's a big
Yeah.
continent.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of countries that are no worse or better off than Brazil, and they don't see that awakening. I don't know if anybody really has an answer why it happens, but it
Well, it's the same way, Africa, Bonky. Why are they so much in what is it, Ghana, in that region? Why is it so big there, but it's not in other parts? Africa is really big on, voodoo?
yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
a lot of the dark magic, dark arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well-
they see huge revivals in Africa.
yeah.
So,
But
I think
also not
those-
everyone.
no, they don't, but
Bunky did, but not many people have seen what my Bunky did.
I think there's quite a few, though. Maybe
Not
not, to
to
the
that
extent.
extent.
Yeah, but not to the extent, but even still, quite a bit. More than we see openly here.
But that still begs the question: like South America, there's a bunch of hunger everywhere.
I think that's exactly it. We're comfortable here.
That-
We don't
I-
hunger for it. That's
I
why we
agree.
see it in other countries. Regardless of how dark the history is of that country, the people there are desperate enough for it that they see things because they're open to things we're not.
But also,
Yeah.
so how did I forget this guy's name? One of the guys that he's a part of, like maybe a bit of a protege for Randy Clark.
Okay.
He's part of the ministry anyway. He had all these statistics, and he said that the highest, like the country that has the highest revival statistically, it's not China anymore. It used to be China.
What is it?
It's I think Afghanistan,
Really?
completely Muslim nation.
So how do they figure that then? So China, you look at it because of the population overall.
So the underground church in China is very strong. It's very strong. But the rate of conversion, he said it came down on average to 1 per 20 seconds
Oh, so they actually figure overall. They don't figure according to population.
overall.
That's pretty impressive because Afghanistan's not nearly that.
That's what I'm saying. And having a higher rate of conversion than any other country.
Wow.
It's crazy. And he talked about it. He said in years past, if somebody would do mission work, Afghanistan wasn't on the list.
Oh, I imagine it wasn't.
And it still isn't that much. Like there's not that many people go to Afghanistan, but
Yeah.
there's conversion happening at an alarming rate. I guess I don't know if that would be the right term, alarming rate, but at a crazy rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what some of the things that sets South America apart is that what sets a whole red safe, and they just went away, and we don't know why, and that's really never taken place before like that before.
Well, I mean, think about it. It
when-
really has.
What
Are you talking the Mayans?
It might
there's-
be them.
No, there's
But-
actually there's several tribes that do not exist anymore.
Yeah, they're just gone.
They're completely gone. But
you can look that back to ancient history, to Atlantis, and how many other countries that just disappeared. Or not countries, but civilizations.
Well, but the say that says the P sealed, but
they
they
disappeared.
showed signs of declining more. Well, the Mayans were almost an instant. They're gone.
Well, that's just according to
they were-
records.
Well,
There's no way to know.
I think the Mayans were deluded because Mexicans are
Bred
not
out.
a pure race. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can see that because look at where
Well-
we come from. We're not pure German. We're not Russian. What are we?
I don't know. Mix up everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're Heinz 57.
We are Yana.
We are Yana.
Well, yeah.
We are Yana.
But there's what's his name? The guy Joe Rogan had a guy on his podcast that has searched into like historic people disappearing, and some of the ones from South America disappeared because there was explorers from Europe that found them, came back and told them about them. Nobody believed them, especially when went back and tried to find them. It was completely overgrown. They couldn't even get in there. They say now with the radar they have, LiDAR, I think.
Okay.
They have some kind of radar that will go through vegetation, not trees, but through the leaves,
Okay.
and bounce off the ground. So you can't get in there because everything's overgrown, but it bounce off the ground and give you a graph of what's
3D
under there.
image of what's
and
under
they
there.
found whole cities under there that are completely overgrown. There's not evidence that there ever was anything under it, except for with the satellite radar.
Well, it's
they
kind
can
of
find
like the Mayan temples. Have you ever seen like when you look at pictures of then and now, like say the 1800s versus now? Right? Maybe it's not 1800s, but whatever they are. Usually they decay. The stuff they're seeing in South America is the opposite. Overgrown till man comes in, cleans it out, and then they bring out what's under there.
Yeah.
So I get they're well
the Mayans were
preserved.
so big. Like, these were all small tribes that
But
they're
even-
completely wiped off the post.
I was reading something the other day where they're talking about how come in school everything nobody talks about ancient civilizations. One of the most mysterious ancient civilizations that's completely disappeared was Sumer or whatever you call it. It was one of those. Like nobody knows really whatever happened. They're just gone. No real history of them. It happened through our entire existence. Man's existence has always been kind of one of those things. Like they're gone. I mean, flat earthers think they have a theory. They know.
Who just fell off the face of the earth?
No, heck no. What is it, Nick?
They're like past the outside.
Yeah, we're gonna call them out, see if they're paying attention or not.
Which ones?
Where do the
You
flat
wasn't
earthers
paying
believe
attention.
everybody
You didn't know
went?
what you said.
I know.
Everybody.
Where do they say all these everybody that disappeared went? Atlantis, Sumer, the Mayans. Where are they all at?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So
He's not. He has not been paying attention at
No.
all.
Not at all.
I have. We were
So-
talking about Sumar. I was Googling Sumar.
We only had one sentence pretty much about Sumer.
the guy that
Where did everybody go? Where did all these ancient civilizations go that disappeared? Where do the flat earthers believe they are?
No idea.
Lee, we had like a 30-minute conversation on this the other day.
Are you talking about Hollow Earth?
No. Flat Earth, not Hollow Earth.
there's such a thing as hollow earth.
Dude, there's so many people. Like you would
Professional
believe some of the
people.
weird crap that people believe.
Mars is in Canada.
We found that too. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Johnny Friesen sent me a picture, meme the other day.
Okay.
Oklahoma was hotter than hell. Is it
How's hell?
hell, Michigan?
Oh, that's pretty good. No, the flat earthers have. There's this big theory about Antarctica is really a wall of ice all the way around us.
Yeah.
And there's like 14 other continents outside that wall of ice.
No
Well,
shit.
that's what you were talking
Game of
about.
Thrones.
But
The
that's
wall.
that's how. Yeah. Winter's coming.
That's right.
We didn't go that
You should
far.
get up. and should really show your chair
We
off.
didn't go that far.
Winter's coming.
But like weird crap like that, people believe that. Like it's the same thing as where the Mayans randomly disappeared.
So I don't think they
I
disappeared.
don't know, that's what I think. There's more to it that we just don't have logged or recorded.
Because they were Aztecs. I was going to say the Aztec history. I
maybe
know.
that's the one. One of them is.
No, Mayans were.
Are they the ones disappeared?
Yeah, the Mayans
Aztecs
were
were conquered.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The
Oh, that's where Cortez came in, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
the Mayans died out, and then the Aztecs basically moved in.
which and maybe they conquered them. We don't know. There's no history of it because
Yeah,
the Aztecs didn't keep
there was.
history.
The say except Motsagins, and they put down that it was empty, and they just moved in.
Yeah, but this is one of those things where the winner of the war gets to rewrite history.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way to prove that. That's kind of like,
Well,
you ever
but
listen
then-
to what happened in Texas? We're taught the history of Texas.
because the Aztecs.
In Mexico, they're taught a different history than we are.
Well, actually, I was taught the history of Santa Anna, just like it happened.
Exactly.
But Santa Anna is portrayed as a coward in Mexico.
Is he?
Yes,
That's good.
because he was a coward.
Good.
He was real pompous, and he got his ass handed to him.
Oh. But what's the story we had, Nick? You talked about this a while back.
How
were you taught that Texas-
in school there, that basically the whole Mexican border used to be a lot like Texas and California. All that used to be part of Mexico, right?
It was Arizona.
And that basically Mexico owed a lot of money to the states.
No, they sold it. Santa Anna
And-
sold it for cheap.
Yeah, that the Mexico owed a lot of money to the states, and that basically the government had collected a lot of wealth from the Mexican public to be able to pay it. But then something came up that they basically just gave him the land, and then they paid the Mexican people back with like paved roads and such, and that's what I was told.
So Santa Anna made it to president at one point. It was a bit shady, but
Really?
yes. And he sold, which Texas was
The sovereign.
yeah. Texas did it on its own, but the other states were sold for next to nothing
Yeah.
because he was imprisoned.
But Mexico thinks that we were just sold. That's what we were. Man.
Yeah, well,
Did you
not,
get their
not
facts
Texas
straight?
wasn't. So I don't know if that Texas was its own nation. I never learned in Mexico.
It was a very short time, but it really was.
Right,
It was the
but-
Republic of Texas.
It's but there was territory sold for cheap. That was Santa Anna's doing.
Have you ever seen the shape of Texas? The actual Republic of Texas? It's way bigger than we are now.
Yeah.
We had part of Oklahoma, Colorado, I think. I don't know if it went as far as into Kansas or not, but a big chunk of New Mexico. I think even part of Louisiana.
So how I had that Texas fishing shirt on,
Uh-huh.
and I made some kind of Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas,
Uh-huh.
and we had some Alaskan guys, and I started laughing. Like, Texas fits like 3 times into Alaska. It's that freaking big.
Yeah.
But
Alaska is.
Yeah, but
It is.
Anchorage, their biggest town is maybe the size of Hobbs, maybe a little bit bigger than Hobbs. Like it's not even the size of Odessa.
Wow.
That's
pretty
their
sad.
biggest city.
Well, but it's so cold sold up there, and it's also so far from us. You know, it's like it's a long what say from what's Washington to Alaska.
Yep.
And I think I forget exactly the number. I think they said there are over 3,000 glaciers that they know of.
Wow.
Wow.
That they know of. They don't know any all of them, but that they know of. And I think all of them except for 2 are melting at a pretty rapid rate. There's 2 that are still
Global
growing.
warming.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah, but the north part of Russia is getting cold colder. The temperature in Moscow on average has dropped quite side a bit. So it's almost looks like I wonder if the source of the Earth that we would see spin on, they do that over time.
Yeah, people claim that the North Pole is shifting somewhere in Russia.
Oh, and the Earth it actually sped up its spin.
Wonder how they do that. They got somebody with one of those speed radar
That's what I'm
guns
saying.
outside
You stand over there.
space.
You run that way. I'm going to see if you run faster than
in-
you did yesterday.
in space.
Well, what?
I was thinking somebody in space
Well-
shooting at the ball.
Shooting at Mount Everest as it passes?
Yeah.
What they do is they time the sun from there all the what say to sunset, and they saw that we actually sped up and we had the shortest day on river gold.
Since records are kept, which that would go to. I've never really put much thought into it, but Limbo was talking about that overall, man cannot change the rate of global warming. It's a cycle. Because there was a well-preserved, not elephant, what's a bigger? Mammoth found. A baby mammoth was found in a melting glacier. So there was animal, and how the heck does a
Elephant end up in a glacier?
frozen and it's not decayed? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How's that happen?
Cold enough that all the bacteria and everything freeze, nothing goes in there. And
But how fast
And
must that
that
happen if
fast.
they were
Flash
living
frozen.
there?
Yeah,
It would have to
yeah,
be
frozen.
flash frozen.
Yeah, this is some crazy shit.
Yeah. What I mean, if you think about back in the times of like the Tower of Babel and the flood and all that, the earth has done some major shiftings in that time.
I had a thought I was going to talk about. Forgot. We should probably talk since this flat Earth is not working.
Obviously.
So one of the speakers, go back to what we started with. The one of the speakers had 2 Kings 3, and I won't read the whole thing too much, but we can get an overview of it. 2 Kings 3, and it's
What verse?
uh,
What verse? You're
All
always
of it.
rushing me.
All
I'm
of
rushing
it.
you.
Oh, all of it.
all of it. That's why I won't go over it all.
Ah.
okay.
But in so it's Jehoram, son of Ahab. It's kings anyway. Like kings fighting kings and whatever. The 2 kings that are going to fight, I think, against Israel is Israel. I don't know the story, but if you read it, you'll find it. They end up strategically going through the desert to attack from the side, and they're almost dying, and they haven't recognized God in any way. And one of the kings is like, "Is there a prophet in the land?" And Elijah is there. I think it's Elisha, not Elijah. And he said, Elisha tells him to start digging trenches in the middle of. He said, "You won't see no rain, but dig trenches so you can keep the water." And they do. And after they dig the trenches, there's a flash flood that comes. The flash flood, well, obviously fills up all these trenches, so they have enough water for the animals, for themselves, everything. Not just that, the enemy sees, with the way the sun is setting, the enemy sees this water and it looks red. So they think it's blood. So he figures the 2 kings got mad at each other and they killed each other. So they come rushing over there out of order and get slaughtered.
Oh, wow.
So what that and basically what the speaker went to is like, what are your trenches in your life? And it made me this one was going to go to the hood for the Hope Center. The Hope Center has been a trench for us. We've tried advertising, we've tried all kinds of things. It does not kick off the way I expected it to, because it was so very clear that God's hand was behind it when we started it. And we've even seen through some of the things that happen, people leaving, how there's a great blessing that comes with it. I've never liked it, but it's not up to me. We've seen it. Even when Aaron's wife Lisa came to replace our secretary, it's been really good. In the podcast, I mean, we've sunk some good money into this, and we have, like, Aaron showed up, he's damn good at it. And it's like everything fell into place, but it's not taken off. And while they were talking about it, I felt like these are some of my trenches, just like these solutions. It's been a trench that we've slowly been working on. Like, it seems like sometimes we're just digging.
Well, it sounds like the digging is kind of part of it because we need the water to fall out.
Once the hole is deep enough, more water is going to be retained,
Yeah.
in a manner of speaking. But so with the Hope Center, we had. We need a hood to open the kitchen back up. And a young lady that we know, me and Marcia know from Mexico, she lives here now. She found me when we were in Hobbs at the theater. She found me in there. She's like, she told me she's been putting money aside from what she earns for tithing, and she just kind of let it pile up, accumulate. She have better words than me. Very well done.
Sometimes.
Making the host look good.
I thought I was the host.
I'm the host.
Oh, okay.
You're the IT.
Okay.
But and she said one time she was going to Mexico, she had felt that she should invest in this or donate to the Hope Center. And when she had asked the Spirit how much, she had never gotten this. Was weeks, months, whatever. It was quite a time. She hadn't really gotten a number. And suddenly she had a dream where in a dream, I had appeared in her dream and told her a number. And she asked me, so I want to see if you know, you tell me a number and see if they match. And we had called a company out of Dallas that had some used hoods. They wanted $3,000 for a hood. So, and I'm thinking like, there's so much that we need, but priority wise, so the kitchen, we need to get the kitchen back open. That was the big thing. So to get the kitchen open, we need a hood. We need a sink as well, but the sink is cheap. We can do that. Do the one that's most expensive first. So I said we need about $3,000. She said, that's exactly the number I got too. So she gave us that money, and after Isaac had already looked at the hoods in Dallas, and he wasn't game. And so me and Marcia went and looked at it, and it was dirty. It was nasty. It's like they have a bunch of these there, and it just you can make it
There's
work.
a reason they have a bunch of them there.
Yeah, you can make it work, but it was run down
Yep.
for $3,000. So I just kind of left it there, and like I don't know what I'm going to do. And then this came up, like the money. I think the money came up just before we went and looked at it. And I decided I'm going to wait a little bit, and I'm going to start looking around. So I started looking around, eBay, Craigslist, wherever I could find some. New ones, we got quoted, I think, 14 installed.
1,000.
Yeah, with an Ansel system, the fire suppression. And I finally found one. I was looking for not so much a hood. I was looking for a hood with a fire suppression system. Found one. It's an 11-footer. It's a little bit big, but it'll fit in there. I found one for $4,000. We were given $3,000. And so what there's, you could put an offer in. So I put an offer in for $2,800, thinking, I figured it's a little bit low, going from $4,000 to $2,800, but I got $3,000 to spend. So if I got $3,000 to spend, if I put $2,800, maybe I can get them to counter offer at $3,000. Well, this was last week, Monday, I think. And Wednesday, they hadn't taken it. We're leaving for Oklahoma. I'm like, you know what? I told Marcy they didn't even look at it. It was so low that they didn't even counter. Like they didn't even answer.
Yep.
So we got this going on. Not gonna worry about it. Go to this greater things. And then Monday when we get back, we'll figure out, we'll get the team together, we'll have a meeting, we'll pray about it, figure out where we go. But I hadn't put second thought to it. Monday morning, we were going back. Monday morning, I got a message in my email from eBay that the seller had accidentally logged out of the eBay account, hadn't seen the message or the offer. He said, I put a new offer in better than the last one. All right, so look in there, $1,900. Less than half of what they were asking. I offered 28.
Yep.
They countered at 19. And I think it has the Ansel system with it.
That's pretty good.
And the thing, like when it didn't go through, I even told Marcia, I said, I can put the extra $1,000 in there. We can do that. Between DS Solutions and DS Performance, we could do it. We could swing it. But the way the $3,000 came to us was so unique and so Holy Spirit led that I didn't just want to blow past it. If there's a teaching in there somewhere, if there's something we're supposed to learn, patient, whatever, I don't know. Wasn't patience evidently because we sure got it.
Think about it. Why not? Why wasn't it patience?
To me, patience would look a lot more like months instead of days.
Not really.
Well.
I mean, patience is just wait a little longer than you want to.
Which I didn't even like. I didn't put any second thoughts to it. We were just going to mention it until we got back, and then.
So you were patient. Maybe that's why it didn't take any longer.
But I guess if that's To me, patience is always miserable, and this was miserable because I just shelved it.
Patience is not miserable.
It is. It's my perception of it, I guess.
Well, I mean, you think about it. Love is patient. Is love miserable?
You got a good point. That's actually a very good point.
Sometimes I have
Yeah,
them.
I guess I did love it. In some ways, it was lovingly put aside. But so that happened, and now we're hoping this weekend we'll go pick it up.
Just depending on how much you get done at work.
Touche. I got tomorrow.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna have to be here early and not sleep again for 2 hours like I did today. Get my shit out of the way. But it was, yeah. So what I wrote, like I said, when the lady talked about the trenches, I felt that pretty strongly that it was for me. And I wrote down in the podcast, Diesel Solutions, Black Diamond, DS Performance, all those are in the way are trenches. Which to me it also brought hope. Because I mean you've been a part of this. You have been there for the rough, not having enough money for anything. Like you've been in that trench the whole time. As much as me.
Yeah.
Or more in some cases. So you know what that looks like. They had to be digging this trench but
Like I told you before, it's one of those things to me. There's no loyalty left in the world. That's sad.
that's true.
I can't. I don't live that way. I can't do that. I call it ignorance. Call it what you want. I am loyal to a fault. I don't turn and run. There's no reason to.
I think it'll pay off.
It will.
Because we got so much. Well, like I said, we're starting a trucking company in the middle of a downturn.
Yeah. We've been advertising for the trucking company.
Yeah, that's right. And it's from the prospects that we have going, and we don't even have trucks on the road yet. They're looking really good.
And we're already getting calls about work that we can't cover. 'Cause
Exactly.
we're waiting on insurance paperwork to go through.
It's crazy. Like it's just a matter of I think lining up with. Which that's another thing. Like, how do you line up with the spirit to where it actually works?
Yeah, that would have been a good topic to go with today.
Well, talk about.
Go to how do you hear the spirit?
How do you hear the spirit?
I don't know. We've talked about it before.
We have.
You never come up
But
with an
there's
answer.
so many answers. I think that's why we don't never
Give
nail
a
one
few.
down.
Give a few.
Oh, dreams.
Dream for me, like just okay. So, just the two that I found over the days we were over there. One was this. I usually don't care for somebody preaching like off of notes. This was off of notes, and it spoke to me. The ditches, the trenches.
That goes to we've talked about it before. If you're actually looking for something, you can hear a sermon from a preacher you really hate listening to and still get something out of it. They could be preaching a bad sermon and you'd get something out of it.
But how do you set yourself up to be received like that?
That I don't know. It's the same thing. How do you hear the spirit? It's the same thing.
Because I didn't set myself up. I figured I was going to try it. It's probably not going to go anywhere. I'll leave towards the middle of it and go back to the hotel. Like it's right there. I'm just going to walk back to the hotel. And I ended up staying because, like I said, it spoke to me. But then also, I think it was the first one, or was it the Thursday morning one? One of those. We left right after. Like they had. Oh, so here another big thing for me. For the first time, like. I felt it a little bit last time, but not as strong as this time. For the first time, I went to a conference and they talk about it, like who's here to receive, like who's here you want to you're just aching to receive something. I'm like, dude, I'm good. I felt like I'm good. I'm not here to receive. I'm just here to enjoy. But it's never been that way. It's always been like I want more, and this time I'm exactly where I need to be. I don't have to move a thing, and I've never. It was so strong, and so that could be one of those Holy Spirit things, which we had. So we had first. Kathy started like it was Kathy's idea, and that's one of the reasons I am. It was so difficult for me to see her leave, and the way she left it was messy, and but the thing is, it was young. There was no other. Some of that just happens as it grows, but. It was her idea, and the Spirit gave it to her. She didn't want to lead it, so I ended up leading it. But she's seen, I don't know, did she dream it, seen it, something? Because I have it written now on these books. She's seen a river in the desert, that was tied to the Hope and Healing Center. This is the desert. We want to bring hope and healing. It's water, is life. So,
You picked the right desert.
because we think we have a lot of churches, but they're very dry.
Yeah, you got that right.
And so as we were walking out, like I said, we left. They had started already. What they usually do is they'll start with stories. Some people will already start getting healed, even just with the stories. And they started with that, and then they started calling people out. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna pray for anybody. I'm not gonna go up there. So I figured I was going to go back to the hotel. I enjoyed it. It was good. And go back to the hotel. As I'm walking out, this young kid comes up to me. Sir, can I pray for you? Sure, absolutely. So you got anything to pray for? I said, dude, I'm good. Like, I have never been this good that I remember in my life. And so he prayed in a lot of ways similar to what Kathy's seen. He said he's seen me dragging an axe, which I don't know what that means. He's seen me dragging an axe while he was praying, and he's seen me with tools digging up the ground in the desert. Big tools, and I was sowing seed that was stored that was stored somewhere. But that goes back to the desert, the water in the desert. And I've never seen this kid in my life. It's kind of cool. It brings hope. Again. Right track, right direction. Yeah, I think that was it. What I was going to talk about. Now we can move on. 3 times we've gotten off the topic. I think now it's good and properly put to bed.
Put to bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What sell? And it's like people talk about the spirit and all that, and I'm like, you do know what? So sometimes it's like you've been in a time that you've been seeking over and over again, and so sometimes you just get that time that clicks. No, it's just like a snap, and then it's like you just know at that time. No, it's like, oh, I can't believe that I never saw that. No, it just clicks into place. I don't know. It's like me, I've had dreams that were, absolutely 100% sure that God was speaking to me in that dream. And then I would get to a point in time and it just snap in. And it's like it go boom in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. No, it's like when I came here and I walked in the shop, I went boom. I'm like, I've been here before, and I had dreamed of what talking in the shop.
That's crazy.
No, and me, that's really silly how God speaks to me. It's like I obey, and then I get to a point in time, and it goes boom. No.
So I tend to follow what I enjoy. When I went to Alaska, I don't know how much we talked about this last time. When I went to Alaska, there was an option to go 2 days fishing, 2 days hiking. I ended up going 4 days of fishing, 2 extra days of fishing because it was a smaller group, and I wanted to get to know Fort Taylor better, and I did. And there was just amazing things that came out of it. The one thing that was overarching was my marriage needed work, which I couldn't see why or how, because so many things have changed. Mm-hmm. And I have been looking on how do I do it better, and it's not so. It feel like it's changing now without me trying in a way. If that makes I don't know if that makes sense, because
falling in by itself.
It is, and these things started happening after I came out of my depression. the mental breakdown, where things have changed. Where usually I resist it, making phone calls, customers, parts, whatever. I would, if I had the option to text, I would text. Now I tend to, on my good, I don't always have the good days, but on good days, I tend to rather call than text. That's new. That's very new. Strange to me. Also, which yesterday I snapped at my wife a little bit, but it was one of those things, like it's always been in the back of my head. And I wanted to talk to her about it yesterday, but I got home too late, so we have to do it tonight. She's probably watching this.
Ooh,
We
you're
have
digging
to-
the trench.
I am digging the trench, but like, yeah, I have wanted to talk to her about like the conversation we were having, what she was mentioning. I've never gotten myself to do it. I just always let it be, and which yesterday came out a little bit. It came out way too strong. Just put it there. Herman fubarred it.
Okay.
But at least it's like, to me, even though I foobarred it, it's in a way it's still it's better than not saying nothing at all. Like I can fix maybe can fix it, but I can grow from this to the point
Well,
where
it's going to be a learning moment for both of you.
yeah, and which not just that, like going into more of an adult conversation, but me and Marcia have never really had a conversation about our sex life, and we do now. It was very awkward for me because, to me, like growing up, it was
Taboo.
it was seen as so taboo that, dude, I don't know if I probably have seen my wife for the first 6 to 8 years. I had plenty of chances to see her naked, but I wouldn't. I couldn't see myself seeing her naked. It was wrong.
Really?
Yeah, I know how pathetic that sounds, but that's what was drilled into me. And from there, we've never really talked about it. Like, we've been, I guess, fairly adventurous in our sex life in the bedroom.
Off of that, like not to change it way off where you're going with it, but when you think about that, the way you just said that to even see her, even though knowing like you're married and everything, not comfortable with that situation, that goes back kind of to our culture. When you look at just in general, why is it like that? Like when you look at a German couple, say like a generation before us, our parents, or not even necessarily our parents, just say somebody in their mid to late 40s. The relationships they have might be close in the way that they talk and stuff, but have you ever noticed when you look back at it now, like even thinking about it, there's like I think the word would have to use would be like sexual tension, because there's not really a physical relationship there.
Well, I think it was the one or the other. There was either to the point where it was like predator.
Yeah, where it was dangerous regardless.
Some people were
Dangerously.
Some people were
Yeah.
straight up predators.
Yeah.
And then the people that are in normal society, people like my dad was, I never seen my dad be affectionate to my mom.
Exactly. So you were on both sides of the ditch.
Yes.
You had people go too
Extremes.
far to extreme
Yeah.
Yep.
or too far against it.
Yeah.
So it was sex all the time to the point where it's dangerous.
And your
Or-
wife has to submit no matter
Yeah.
what.
Or it was sex that was literally nothing but when it was time for kids.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as a healthy sexual relationship.
I think that's where a lot of this came from. And just church was, I don't think it was so much my parents, the church was a big
Yeah,
part.
it's generations leading up to now.
Yeah.
Because I've thought about that. Like when we look back at, like I know growing up as a kid, it's exactly the same thing. You didn't see any type of affection. And now, like when you get married, and I think that's what leads to a lot of the problems we see in today's culture, at least in our background, where we come from, stemming off of never seeing what healthy affection looks like,
Exactly.
that it ruins our relationships. And it takes
We don't know what it looks like.
exactly, and then we get a
Or what it
dose
should
of what's
look like.
good, and then we're scared of it.
Right, because to me, well, and it was also the addiction to pornography. There was a big part of that because I knew it was evil. And what do you see? Well, you see naked women having sex. So to me, my wife,
Reach that other side of that ditch where you start to
Yeah.
get a little dangerous.
yeah. But the thing is, to me, my wife was sacred to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I also to me, I have been very careful to talk about it, the drastic change that happened about a month ago, because I'm so worried it's going to come back. But it's over.
I know what you're talking about.
My pornography addiction, it's over. It's gone. There's no temptation anymore. I never could resist it, no matter how hard I tried. I never couldn't fight it, and suddenly it's just gone. I don't know where. It happened once for about a week or two, and then it seemed like it came back with a vengeance, and suddenly it was just gone. And I told my wife about it, but outside of that, I mean, I've had very few people because I was so afraid it's going to come back, and this is the first time I've really spoken about it on I guess in general. I always looked or tried to find a way to find enough strength. But then again, if you read what the Bible says, it says you can't do it on your own strength, that the Father will do it for you. Well, what's that look like? What might that teach? What we got?
No, there's a vehicle outside.
You know who it is?
No, I didn't
I'll go
recognize
take a
it.
look.
Okay, good. Somebody interrupting Cal. But so and like I have wondered, prayed, asked, like, what's this look like? I know I can't do it on my own. I've tried hard enough. How do I get the strength? I've prayed for strength. I've everything. Nothing worked, and suddenly it's just
gone.
Yeah.
Don't. Okay. Well, yeah. See what he wants.
I know that we're talking in CR. I will talk with a lot of drug addicts, and I've worked with a few personality disorders, and I got several people that were like, man, I was in and out of rehab several times, and then they're like, I don't know, what Sunday I would soak up, and I'm like, that's it, it's done. No, and they just stopped.
Yeah.
And then I've known guys that will clean for 3 years or more, and then boom, just snapped into it again.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't never going back. I was miserable enough, but the thing is, like, I've looked at everything. I was to the point I was going to check myself into a sex rehab center. I was that tired, and I realized unless I get help from somewhere else that's supernatural, this ain't going to work either. Tried everything else, but yeah, like this. It says that we can't do it on our own. And this will sound controversial, but I think there was a teaching moment in that.
Why would you say it sounds controversial?
Because it's just
Like what part of it though? Like when you say there's a teaching moment in what, the struggle?
in the struggle of this many years of struggling with it.
I think there is. I would say there's probably been opportunities for you to get out that you didn't see. Like
I don't know.
I would say yeah. I mean, think about it.
I don't know.
And then maybe not, but how do you know you maybe weren't ready? There was something that was blocked that you didn't see. Because I don't think
But
we
the
were
thing
ever
is,
meant to struggle.
if they were blocked, well, that's the thing. I think we are. I used to not think so, but now I think we are.
I would still need something to see that says we are.
That's fine. I think you'll
Yeah.
find it.
I don't think I will.
But-
Because I think we do struggle. Well, I know we do struggle.
Right.
But I don't think we need to. But I think the struggle doesn't come from God. The struggle
Because-
comes from ourselves.
No, I think he lets it happen.
Oh, he lets it have. Of course, he has to.
Doesn't
I'm
have
not
to.
arguing
He
that.
doesn't have to because there's too many
How
people.
not? If you say he doesn't have to,
there's-
then that takes away free will.
No, my free will was to be done with it. My
Your
free
will
will,
was-
I wanted to be done with
you
it.
wanted to be done with it.
Yes,
But there means there's a door out.
there wasn't.
I think there was.
No,
Because I think
Because there's people that did not want, like there was a pastor at First Baptist a while ago, years ago. His parents were preachers,
okay,
or his dad was a preacher. He was hooked on coke,
okay,
hard. He would have a small ball with him, and he went to a youth Bible camp, and he would carry it with him because he was so paranoid somebody would find it. And he didn't want to get rid of it. He didn't have any plans to get rid of it.
mm-hmm.
The evening, the youth pastor that was preaching, before he even opened up for altar call, he walked to the front. Just on the way to the front, he emptied his pockets and was instantly freed from it, and did not want it. Like, he didn't really have
Wasn't
a
even
desire
looking
to
for
quit. Yeah, that's what I was asked. Like, how do people get free? It's not the first one. There's people, you see that, just like instant healing. There's people who instantly get free from their whatever demons are plaguing them. And I have begged for it, and I couldn't find it. I've even if I had to work, like whatever I have to do, I was looked for ways out, try to fight it, whatever. There was nothing.
How do you know that's not the answer right there? Did you quit looking?
No,
To the very end, you never quit looking.
no, I never quit looking because I have been desperate to the point where, and the thing is, there's more. I was telling Ford Taylor about this. I said, I've been at the point sitting in my truck crying for help. I mean, screaming for help. And I couldn't find it. He said, I know exactly what you mean because I did it at the point of a gun. And he was spiritual gifts pastor where people's gifts got instantly activated. People got healed. Every single person he could put his hands on, laid hands on, got healed. And he said, while this is happening, every evening when I'm driving home, I'm crying because I can't get free from my addiction of cheating on his wife. And he's seeing miracles every single time that he preaches or he's with people. Yet he's cheating on his wife. And he's trying to get rid of it and he can't. Like, there's too much. They defy logic in every way.
I get where you're saying, but even still, it's contradictory to the word if we think that
How?
it says it never says I see the plans for you to suffer. It says I see the plans I have for you, plans for you to prosper.
But that doesn't say that you won't go through.
You will go
some
through
hard
struggles.
times to get
The Bible
there.
says very clearly you will,
There you go.
but it never ever says that
But
it comes
doesn't-
from Him.
No, but he lets it happen.
Well, yeah, he does. He allows everything in life to happen because that's
Exactly.
free will.
But this wasn't free will, though. My free will wasn't that I wanted it. I wanted to get rid of it.
But that's exactly what I'm saying.
So my free will wouldn't help me to get
You
get rid of
wanted it
either.
gone, but you were so desperate to have it gone. I think there's many doors that we often don't see until we finally get to a point where there's one open to us that's just so obvious that it opens.
This wasn't that.
I don't know. I mean, you have very different outlooks on the situation.
That's fine because I know I went through it.
Well, I think we all have. You know, to say one person's story is more or less than the next is not
They're
really
different.
They're different, but they're all
Because-
of the same, like the suffering, the same addiction. To say that addiction to pornography versus addiction to methamphetamine is any different, it's really not.
They're not
Exact
that
same
different,
thing.
but the way people get free are so very different.
I think they're not even that. They're not.
They are.
Because some of them, even those, are just radical healings that are miraculous.
I never went to, like, most of the ones you hear that get instantly healed, some kind of church service. Mine didn't happen at church service.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. Most of them probably do, but I know quite a few guys that literally just quit cold turkey and just never ever had a desire to go back to any of that.
Yeah, and also I've got quite a few guys that I know that told stories about being in jail, and that they said I don't know why. Because at a lot of jails they offer books, and the Bible is almost always included in the books, and like I had never been taught the Bible. I did not go to church, nothing, and like I don't know. I just what Sunday like I picked up the book and.
But I think going to the jail is
No.
a little bit different because now you're in an extreme situation.
But there's also people that do it by sheer willpower.
There
discipline.
is. Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
some people that could. I'm not one of them.
I'm not either.
Yeah, I couldn't.
And the thing is, those people will never. I think they could find true freedom, but it's a misery I don't want to live
Do
in.
you think they really could?
Yes. This might be one of those things. It might be personal opinion. It might not. I
Yeah.
might be completely wrong, but I think they could. But the
Because-
thing is, they don't look for it, and maybe the same thing as me. One day they just miraculously get freed. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Because I feel like the ones that do that are
I've been envious of it
I'm not.
because I was that desperate to get rid of it.
'Cause I get what you're saying. I've lived in that. For me, it's been years since I had struggled with that kind of stuff. But when thinking about that,
Well,
I remember how bad it sucked.
Mhm.
but the thing is, there's ramifications, which I would. First of all, me and my wife would feel distance. I didn't have to tell
Okay.
her; she knew right away.
Okay.
Before I even got home, she'd know. I could be in Oklahoma and she'd know because there's a distance that happened automatically. But not just that. Ever since it started changing, and now that I'm completely free of it, our bedroom has changed a lot. There's things I would never let myself do because I've seen it in pornography. I would never let myself go there. I would never even try see, and not just that. First of all, we would never talk about it. I couldn't get myself to talk about our sex life. Now we do. That's since I got back from Alaska. Marcy several times asked, like, "What did you do with Herman?" And she likes it, but it's so out of the norm. It's weird for her. But we've never talked about it. Now we talk about it, and just there's like I said, there's things we've explored each other in a way that we've never done before because I seen it as evil, and it wasn't so much that it was evil because the thing is, pornography is about demeaning women, and I couldn't see myself doing that to my wife.
Okay, so with that thought right there where you're at, when I said, that there's been other chances, if you go with what you just said and say, opening that door and now having those conversations opened up a whole new part of your relationship. You've allowed in things that you thought were so wrong.
Right.
What if you had done that a year ago? What if you had broke down and stopped long enough to have that conversation?
Even if Marcy would have been okay with it, I couldn't get myself to do it.
Exactly. You couldn't.
No.
But the chance was there.
But I couldn't get myself to do it. I wouldn't because it goes against
What you believe.
not so much what I believe. It's to me,
Your
my wife
morals?
is valuable to me. She's given to me. I couldn't because I seen it as evil, even though it wasn't. But because of what I was watching, it seemed evil.
So is it then a closed mindset is what often kept you locked inside that?
It wouldn't have changed anything because I was still stuck in it.
You were stuck in it, but the thing is, that's exactly it. The moment you've opened it, now you've received a freedom.
No, that was after.
So all this came after
Yes.
that. Oh, so this happened before Alaska.
Yeah, because this is a month, maybe over a month ago.
Okay.
And
I was thinking here that you were
me and Marcy, we started talking happen after Alaska.
Gotcha.
We started exploring a little bit more before I left for Alaska, but even that, I just kind of, wonder into things and see if she would react one way or the other. We wouldn't talk about it. Now we talk about it. Yeah, we will have a podcast one day, me and Marcy. She especially after I came back from Alaska, she at first she was always open to the idea, but she wasn't sure when. Now she said it might be time to actually do it. Like she's ready for it. It just might be a little bit awkward
For who?
for Aaron and Lisa because someone's gonna have to sit behind that monitor.
Have fun.
I'll just blindfold my eyes.
This is talk. Eh?
Blindfold my eyes. Are they going to show you?
I'm not, you're gonna
never
have to
know where this
blindfold
could
your-
go.
You're gonna have to blindfold your ears.
Listen, how's that go? Listen with your eyes, see with your ears.
Yeah. You will be seeing with your ears. Which even that, I don't want to. I want to do it when we do the podcast. I want to do it in a way where where Marcy enjoys it. So I want to let her somewhat lead it and not push to things that she's uncomfortable talking about. That way we can do it again. Like have more than one, and as it progresses.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far she's going to go. It's going to be like I said, it's mainly going to be up to her. I don't know. for the most part, always been somewhat of an open book on what I do. Not so much to my wife. There, I've always been hesitant, but for other people, I've been fairly open about what I go through.
Yeah, well, what set sell, and I had a similar thing to you with my depression, because no, I was a clinically depressed. Let's like I was not like people saying now, oh, I'm down and all that. I mean, I was like clinically depressed for. I mean, good part of over a decade. I mean, it was from the time I was a kid till I was none. I mean, I think I was completely free at like 22, and the man you see now is not the man who used to be, and I got put so into my scenes that I was just tired. No, of it, and I would always come out for a bit and then dive in again. And I was this. I would should get like big bad bags and on my eyes. I would not sleep like hardly at all. And a guy asked me, he's like, "Oh, you seen Port Son?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "You soon never got on it. Well, what's I?" And I said, to be honest with you, I was so down that I didn't feel myself what's worthy to even watch it. And he's like, jeez, no, and things. And I mean, I dealt with that for a long time, and then it began to get better. And I mean, I took meds. I did a lot of stuff. I would send to counseling and all that, and I don't know. I got a day that I was feeling it, and then it was gone. And I've not dealt with that for over 3 years. And I look back on it, I'm like, that was hell.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I could go through the 10 years. So just the about month and a half, 2 months, whatever I went through it. Which mine, I felt like it's more of a mental breakdown than anything else. But in a lot of ways, it was the same way. Like there was nothing that would pique my interest in the slightest. Absolutely nothing. I'd go to things because I love people. I got people that I really enjoy to have in my life, and I will still take the time for them. Like John, I went to John and was somewhat useless, but I went and helped him move. But even, like going through that, there was times where I would think of looking up porn just to get some kind of arousal. There's no interest, none, nothing. It's misery, which I never went to the doctor or anything, but I don't know if mine was straight up depression. I think mine mainly was, but there's really like that hardship. Some of my greatest characteristics have come out, where my basic nature has changed. It's come out of that misery. That's why I used to be of the idea that Christians don't have to go through hardship like that. I've changed my mind because some of the best things have come. Like I've completely changed after that. There's so many, and without me trying, they happen automatically after I came out, and it goes back to Romans 5. Let's look at it. We've talked about it before. We'll do it again. Romans 5. Romans 3 to 5. Romans, where are you? 5, 3 to 5. in the Amplifies, it says, "But that's not all," which you can read before that. That's not all is for. Even in the times of trouble, we have joyful confidence, which I wasn't joyful, and there was no confidence, but that's beside the point. Knowing that our pressures will develop in our pressures will develop in us patient endurance. And patient endurance will refine our character, and proven character leads us back to hope. And this hope will not disappoint. Is not a disappointing fantasy, because we know we can now experience the endless love of God cascading into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who lives in us. The Amplified says it like, no, New American says it like this, and not only this, but we also celebrate in our tribulations, knowing that tribulations brings about perseverance, proven character. That's the one I was looking for. When this is the verse I got, I prayed for it to go away, and then one day I got that verse. And perseverance, proven character, a proven character, hope, and hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured out within our hearts through the Holy Spirit who was given to us. For while we were still helpless, at the right time, Christ died for the ungodly. So that's, like I said, now I've come out of it. To say that I'm looking forward to doing something like that again is a bit of an overstatement, but I would not complain about it either. I know it won't. I don't know if it'll ever happen again, but I think it could. But it'll be a while, because there's so much of my character that's being developed right now coming out of the last one. Doesn't make any sense.
I get what you're saying. I think the way I was explaining earlier, I think it was a little off of what I was actually thinking for this. I trying to think how I would word it. In my mind, it makes sense. Know what I'm thinking, not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This won't be the last one. You can explain yourself.
One day I will. One of these days we'll be talking about it, and I'll be able to explain it in a way that makes sense.
Sounds good.
The perseverance, like brings about perseverance, tribulation. The suffering is going to be there. I think earlier the way I worded it, it's not that a Christian isn't going to suffer even though you don't want to, but I think the way we live in it, the way we look at it, we don't have to call it suffering, because life's not going to get easy. It's not meant to.
Well, the thing is, but it is suffering. You can't call it something that's not. I think and correct me if I'm wrong,
So
but I think
suffering is a choice.
I think where you're coming from is people do it because they think they should, instead of because in our
think
culture
that's
that's a big thing.
Yeah, people should suffer. Christians should
Yes.
suffer.
And,
No,
and
that's
they,
not
and they
it.
do it. They, a lot of it is self-inflicted, thinking that this is God, and it's often not.
That I'll agree with, because there's a lot of people that do that, and
Exactly.
I get that. But what I'm thinking is the suffering is there. Like, we all have different things that we struggle with that the other person doesn't, because each one is individual, and we all have different things. Like, your biggest one was pornography, and then it was
I've never seen that as suffering so much.
It's gonna kind of tie into what I'm going with.
Okay,
So then you go into like your depression. That's one that really drug you down or whatever.
suffering.
So
straight up.
I think a lot of times what we see as suffering is just another thing that's in life that we've got to be able to find a way to overcome and live in. Not that we live in it in a sense that we just say this is okay, we're gonna suffer through this. That's not what I mean. But I think it's kind of a personal mindset and kind of a spiritual led.
I think it has to be spiritual, because, like I said, mine.
It has to be spiritual led, but
I-
I think a lot of it has to be a personal mindset as well.
because I prayed to get out of it.
Yeah.
Especially the depression. Well, the pornography I've had for years, but the depression, I prayed to get out of it. And I clearly got this verse one day. I still remember where I was when I got it. It was in the Rocket, coming over here to the shop in the morning.
Okay.
And
This verse?
this verse, this exact word, it was Romans 5. Romans keep in mind, like, why am I stinking Romans? Because I'm miserable and I'm praying for this to go away. Because Christians shouldn't suffer. And I'm praying for this to go away. And Romans comes to mind, and it's strong in my mind. So I get my phone out, I get Romans, and then as soon as I'm in Romans 5, I go to Romans 5, start reading it, and then 3 to 5 just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hunkered down, and I'm gonna go through this. And I'm gonna quit complaining.
Because I think the reason it hits me differently is, like, let's say, can I say I know what depressed feels like? Sure, like little spurts, like anxiety, but depression itself and the way, like, that I've heard people explain it, I don't know. So I don't really know what that is. Like not in myself.
Well, I think it's
So-
not all of us to carry either.
No, it's not. But
I
each
think
one. That's why I say
suffering will
each
be
one of us
different.
really has something individual.
Yes, there's
But
suffering for all
in
of us. It's just
situations
different.
like that, there's to me there's always an out because you look at it and think, what am I suffering in? And the anxiety, depression, whatever you're dealing with at that time, there's always a plus. There's always a silver lining. Don't look at the negative part of what the devil's doing to you, but look at all the positive that God's already done for you. So
I think
go
in
ahead.
the in the suffering, I stayed in longer than I had to.
Yeah.
The reason why I think that is because I was in my truck one day in that rocket, and Mikey's in there, and we're talking about this, and Mikey's not wanting to use big words, but he don't throw the F bomb around easily.
Okay.
But Mikey, we're talking about this, and I was just kind of talking about what I was going through. And
Quit making excuses.
well, he finally said, you want me to tell you exactly what I think it is? And I said, yeah. And he said, I think that this excuse that you're making, that your mind will not produce curiosity, you use it as a fucking excuse. Those were exact words.
Yeah, I like that because that kind of goes to me, kind of with what I'm going. I think,
But the thing is,
part of it is
I
a
had never,
mindset.
I hadn't looked at it. The thing is, because I got the verse, I know I was supposed to be in it, but I think I didn't have to be in it as long as I was. There was a time when I got this, I hunkered down, and I'm just going to go through it, and I had this wild-haired idea that somehow it's automatically going to go away. And I think while I was going through it, even though you can be joyful in it, you can also look for a way out. So that,
oh yeah, definitely. I would never say don't look for a way out.
but see, then I wasn't. But there was somebody put in my life that called me on it when I wasn't. So that like there's people that correct me, people or Holy Spirit led, like when I got the verse. So with the pornography, I never got it. I never, it just disappeared on its own and suddenly. This one, like I said, I think I could have gotten out of it sooner than I did. By how much, I really don't know. I really have no idea. It could have been days, could have been month, could have been a month. I have no idea. But I could have gotten out of it sooner than I did. That I recognize, but because of what happened. Like Mikey was put in my life for that. And he doesn't speak as mighty.
Man, you're getting very close to predestination here. Pops is old.
Well, this is not predestination. I still had a choice.
Well, he was put in your life specifically for that.
Well, our days were written out, weren't they?
Started a tomato here.
Our days were written out, weren't they, before the cosmos were made?
The days were written out, but the choices we made are still infinite.
They are.
Yeah.
So
There
I
still are
think this is
choices.
one of those. Would you have suffered if you had made a different decision? Maybe not with that, but with something else. Every path you take is going to lead to a suffering because the Bible says we're going to suffer.
Well,
As Christians, it doesn't say we might.
and the thing is, until I got the verse, I fought it at every corner and
No,
prayed.
I get that. I'm just saying, like, let's go like far enough back to say you hadn't done the Hope Center, you had done something else. A suffering would have come with it,
Yeah, but the thing is,
but it
with
might
the
not
Hope
have
Center,
been.
it's not so much been a suffering.
Well,
It's been
I know.
a challenge.
I'm just using that as a anchor point to start a story. Like
And I
this
don't-
is a origin. Use the big decision of the Hope Center that started a chapter in your life.
It did.
Had you not done that, all the sufferings that you've had, the obstacles that have come with the Hope Center, they would not have existed. But whatever choice you would have made that went
They
the
would
other
have been
way
similar.
would have had their own.
Yeah.
So
No, and they would have been similar.
yeah.
Just
So
in a different.
and then there would have been different
company or
people to help
whatever.
you with that
Yeah.
situation because it is still the
But see-
options are infinite.
See, to that, why was there never anybody or anything for the pornography?
That I don't know.
See, that's what doesn't make sense. For this one, there was when it started,
How do
there was
we
an
know
answer.
there wasn't somebody to come into your life and they made the decision to keep their mouth shut?
But there's so much more people that he'll use.
Well, there is. Oh, I know, but I'm just saying.
And
There's a ton of different options. Here.
there's so many.
We could open a whole new book. Like we're how far in there? Hour and 10?
20.
Okay, hour and 20.
yeah, we really need to
could
wrap it up.
stretch this for hours to say
Oh,
that
yeah.
the options of what could have happened.
That's true. In a lot of ways, we're just going round and round. now.
Yes and no, but
Yeah.
it's still interesting content. Like I think
But we're going back to the same thing we just talked about, literally 10 minutes ago.
I'm starting to come off a little more right.
No, you're losing it. But it doesn't matter. It's time to wrap it up anyway.
Yeah,
Obviously, Pete's wrong. I'm always right.
in his dreams.
In my
We allow him to
dreams.
think so because he's a little older than I am, and I respect my elders.
Respect my Oh man.
and he's more mature. He doesn't have the
Shots
necessity of being
fired.
right as much as I do.
I don't know about that one. I won't go quite that far.
Anyway, I hope everybody has a good week. I guess we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Maybe a
Nobody
week.
else shows up. Maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
Yeah.
One of these
maybe
days we'll
next
do
week.
a Diesel Solutions one again.
Yeah, one of these days.
One of these days.
Yep.
Hasta luego.
Good night.